Hello to my True Blue crew. I apologize if this is at an awkward time. I wasn't sure I was going to be home in time for my regular 4 p.m. time slot. My daughter had a doctor's appointment this afternoon, and we got home in just about regular time. So I decided to just go ahead and hop on. Katie was here earlier. Thanks for saying hello, and hopefully you can pop back in. Tonight, I am just trying to make progress on my scraps. You know, we save all these bits and pieces from other projects, and they're always the someday. Someday I'll make something with this. Oh, I might, save those pieces for something. And as I was cleaning out my closet where I have stashed all of those project bags over the years, I came across some half rectangle, or I've got HRT on the brain, half square triangles, and I was able to put them together. And I actually worked on these pinwheels on a live stream with the Greenland quilter a couple weeks ago. So I made good progress. There's green and pink and blue and orange. And I love color blocking. I love finding lights and darks in the same family and getting the shading just right so that they work together. I haven't really tried a full transparency where you try to blend two distinct fabrics and find that third fabric that just really captures that overlap. Haven't been able to do that yet, or haven't really attempted that, but I love just finding lights and darks. And I decided in the project bag with all this stuff, there was also these black and white pieces, and I had enough of that to make some sashing strips. So I just had the 4 pinwheels, and I put the black and white with it. So today I am going to hopefully finish up these sashing bits, and then this will be a really good size quilt for a young child. So I can donate that to a charity here in my local area. So let me get set up here. I haven't had my machine on in a couple days. Hello, Lori. I'm so glad that you are here. I actually had a specific question for you, Lori, but I don't want to, be conducting business inquiry stuff for the whole public to see. So I will email you. Look for an email from me in the next couple days. Because, and here I'm going to try and be a good sewist, a good sewing machine owner. I'm going to cut my thread and pull the thread through the bottom from the needle end. A lot of times we just pull the spool off the top of our machine and yank, and so that whole thread comes backwards through the machine, and that can actually mess up your tension discs. So I'm doing it the cautious way. It does waste, maybe 18 inches of thread, but I think I can donate that to the landfill, unfortunately. Hello, Jess. How is your summer going? I always my heart goes out to the teachers. As much as I enjoyed my summer vacations when I was a school teacher, I don't miss the stress of being, always thinking about what the next day's lesson was going to be. I can just show up and do my work and turn it off at night with my current job, and that is rather refreshing. Okay, getting my other, because the last sewing project I did over the weekend was binding, and I need a different color today. because I tend to do colorful bindings, and then I need a neutral for my piecing. Okay, so this is not going to be a real technically exciting live stream. Get some other pieces put away. And first I have to iron, so let's let that heat up. Trying to press to the dark. Need to get an extension cord for my iron because of course the plug is way across the room. Okay, so I've got my sashing strips. Okay, I'm gonna where did I put my pin cushion? Oh, I hid it way around the corner. Yeah, Lori was commenting that she likes this sashing with my pinwheels as cornerstones, partly because I wanted to bring the size of the quilt up. I only had those 4 blocks, and those larger colorful pinwheels are 12 inches. So that's, you know, even for a kid's quilt, that's tiny. So 4 sides, I'm making sure I get my pieces in the right place. And so having double strips here, these are 2.5-inch strips, gives me nice wide sashings for this quilt. And I'll have to see once I get the whole thing done and check the size requirements for our charity projects if I need an outer border. And then I don't know what I would do with that because I don't have any more of my colorful fabric. So I tend to, like when I do colorful blocks like that, I tend to find some kind of rainbow print that I can use that, of course, if it's got all the colors, then it doesn't matter if it matches anything exactly. Okay. Ready to sew. Iron over there. So what has everybody been up to here these first couple days of July? I was house sitting for my brother-in-law, which involved, he lives quite a, he's kind of across town from me. So it is a commitment to get to his house every day and take care of his cats. But he's paying for a family vacation later this year. So I'm happy to build up some of that goodwill. So I was doing that, and that assignment is complete because he and his wife are coming home today. And then I've made reservations for my anniversary dinner on the 4th. We're going to try a fancy steakhouse for dinner. And yeah, and then probably, go to bed early and hope that we can sleep through all the fireworks and craziness that tends to happen on holidays. But there's our town's big sports stadium is just a couple miles away from our house. So we can usually, especially if we stand out on our back deck, we can see see most of the fireworks. And it's kind of fun, being outside after dark on our second floor. Our master bedroom opens up onto a deck, and being able to look across, and of course, Arizona, nice and flat, you can see 20, 30 miles away, and you just see all these distant bursts of colorful fireworks. So Lori thinks that the motor blockheads are kind of difficult. She says she's stretching herself. It's always good to try new things, Lori. So you can prevail there, I'm sure. I have confidence. Okay, so I've got my black and white sashing. And what I was trying to do was alternate the black and white with what color was in the pinwheel. But I couldn't turn it the right way to make it alternate with the color that's already there. I would have had to spin the pinwheel in the opposite direction. So it's going to look like the sashing extends a little bit into these outside areas. So let me give that another press, and then we can that. And one of the seams won't nest because the colors are darkest lined up on dark. So someone asked earlier this week, I can't remember where I was, that we were doing a question of the day, and it was, what is your favorite food at the holiday barbecue? I love roasted corn on the cob. Haven't had it in a long, long time. And of course, the Mexican street corn has gotten very popular. That's been like the trendy food the last few years with they call it elote. And it's got some good, a different kind of white cheese on it. We used to, the friends that introduced my husband and I, their kids were teenagers when we met. And so we would always go over to their house. They had a pool, and they would do all sorts of just weekend parties, kind of like that family dinner idea, but it wasn't always relatives. It was, we were included in the family gatherings. So that was a lot of fun over the years to go to their parties and just camp me out by the sour cream chips and dip. But I am trying to make healthier food choices these days, so I don't. I'll get my vegetables in and not the dip. And when we were camping, we stopped at a place for pie. So that's another big decision. What kind of pie would you order at, like, if you're as old as me and remember the Marie Callender's restaurants? Oh my gosh, black bottom pie. And then they stopped making it, but that was my all-time favorite. Fruit pie, it really depends. I haven't had peach pie in a while. That sounds really good, like a summer treat with a nice dollop of ice cream. Hello, Karen. How are you doing? Thanks for the anniversary wishes. And so July events, after we get through the Independence Day holidays, the Tour de Fabric is going on this month. It's another one of those free workshop events that has multiple quilt teachers. And I've got one of my brand new half rectangle triangle workshops. So if you want to see what you can do with my favorite unit, you can register and you'll have immediate access to all 18 or 19 workshops. Watch them whenever you have time this month. The link is in the video description, and there are some live events too. Some of the teachers are doing trunk shows, and there's going to be some panel discussions. And that's all happening at the quiltandlearn.com website. Tour de Fabric. Okay, I've got the one border on, I've got that other one, and I need to do. Okay, how are you guys on the East Coast doing in the heat? I've got all my fans running and I am about to chop off all of my long hair. I know it's only been a few months. I haven't gotten past the messy middle. It's not long enough really to put up in a ponytail. And I was just thinking today, I don't want to deal with that all the time because I don't like having, you know, the fashionable pieces that don't all fit in your ponytail. You know, these ones that hang down on the side of your face. And I don't always want to have extra clips to keep everything all nice and smooth. So I'm just going to chop it off and go back to my short haircut, which my husband prefers anyway, but he's too kind to bug me when I get crazy ideas like growing my hair out. So don't be surprised next week if you show up and I've got my short hairstyle back. And I'm going to, I was talking to my friend Tori, my co-host on my podcast, and we're going to start recording for season 5. So tell me what quilters you'd like us to interview on our podcast about the business side of quilting. So like I said, the pinwheel kind of melts into the sashing there in that one little area, but oh well. Hello, Amanda. Oh, and the other fun thing in July is all of crafters, especially. We only have 6 months, so we have to start thinking about the holidays, and we have Christmas in July. And I got together with Amanda and Jess and a couple other people, and we did a gift exchange, a Secret Santa type thing. And we're going to record our unboxing, our opening gift party, and we'll be sharing that in a couple weeks. So that's something for you to look forward to with us. I thought I had one more. Oh, yeah, I do. One more sashing piece and all the pinwheels to put on the ends there. Okay, I saw it. Jess, you finished your patriotic quilt, your June quilt-along. What do we have in store coming up? It's so fun when you get to start a brand new project. That's probably why I have so many UFOs, is that I'm addicted to the starting and not so much the finishing. The binding that I put on this weekend, that quilt had been at least, I think it was a 2023 start. But it's finished now. And I have it in my bedroom. It's it has gnomes on it, and they're just, I love them. I loved playing with the color combination so much. So I'm going to enjoy it for a while, and then I will probably, I still have this, deep abiding hope that I can sell some of my quilts. At a decent price, not a garage sale, here, have $10 for this custom quilted work of art. But I just have to find the right, I need to go to one of the really, really fashionable boutiques over in the rich part of town and, talk to them about, hey, I have custom, one of a kind baby quilts. And I had been in a business builder program. Oh gosh, it was 2017, 8 years ago now. And the lady is still, she's an influencer in LA, and she had a baby January, so 5 months ago, 6 months ago. And I sent her one of my baby quilt that it was a pattern that I had published in a magazine, and got a few new followers when she shared my project on her Instagram page, but one of those exposure things. Oh, and the other fun thing that I did last week was I submitted a pattern to Quilt Inc. And it's a website where you can go and you can color all sorts of patterns. Our friend Tasha, if you watch Tasha Quilts live, she has a new pattern, and she had put her pattern on Quilt Inc. also. So it was a very easy process, and it's a lot of fun to be able to just send somebody a link. They don't have to have EQ or anything to color your quilt pattern and start getting ideas for their next quilt. So that is out in the world now too. See, these cornerstones aren't going to work either. I can't. I would have had to flip the corners of my triangle, so they're just going to melt right into the sashing there. And that's the way it goes sometimes. And then the seams don't nest either, so that's a bummer. All these potential problems when just making pinwheels and not planning ahead for how it's going to be used in the quilt. The center one will be pretty cool. Where do I put all the pieces? And my procrastination is going to cause me some stress this week because I signed up to be a vendor at a de-stash type event, and that's coming up. I've known about it for months, and I was like, oh, I'll just go sort through my bins and make up some jelly roll packs and some fat quarter bundles. And now the event is like 3 days away, and I have maybe a dozen fat quarters ready. I'm hoping that we will have more customers than and that's what I was telling Katie. She said she was hoping to find batiks that were less than $14 a yard. And I told her to get me a shopping list, and I'll keep my eye out at these de-stash sales. So these are the side strips, so I'll need cornerstones on both ends. Okay, there's another sashing. Yeah, so I want to go toward the sashing, away from the pinwheels, towards the sashing. Get that seam pressed very well. I started thinking about all the ladies that, you know, their backs look so immaculate, and this row is okay. Let's see. Karen said, last week you asked about the part of quilting we don't like so much. She made 50 small half square triangles, had this press the seams open. Didn't have much fun doing that. Yes. Seams open on tiny pieces is, you're right, that's not much fun. Okay, so when I pin borders, I'm going to start at the center and work out. So I will pin this center cornerstone in place. I should have trimmed those pinwheels down. Yeah, what was I thinking? I just sewed them together and didn't really think about the overall size, and one of them is a little bit, I have to stretch. Yes, you can go right from this live stream to Tosh as well. Maybe a little bit of a break. I don't know. I don't think I'll go all the way to 6 Eastern or 9 Eastern, because it's almost 8 now. It was so funny. I went to my in-person guild last night, and there's always show and tell. And my mom generally has, last night she had 3, and that's pretty typical. Hello, Jeanette. Thanks for being here. Pretty typical. She usually can get 3 quilts done in a month. And people are always amazed. They'll come up and tell me, oh my gosh, I don't know how your mom gets so much done. And I'm hoping to be prolific like that when I'm retired. She honestly quilts almost full time. My dad is out and about. He's playing golf and doing all sorts of things. And she has her quilting friends, but they only get together like once a week for lunch. And she'll just sit and sew all day, every day. It sounds wonderful. Okay. Oh, Amanda and Lori are comparing Hexie projects. Yes, it's my fault. I'll take the blame for that. And if we can get Karen to start a Hexie project too. And some people, you know what, Karen and Lori, some modern quilters especially will just iron press or use glue based their hexies down so they have that folded edge seam, and then they will just applique them straight onto a backing. Like they'll almost like fusible, they'll put some fusible behind it and just iron it in place and then quilt across it and be done. They don't actually stitch them all together. So there are ways to uh, make that less tedious of a process. Okay, here we go. Left side border going on. And I had a fun um, kind of quilt celebrity sighting on YouTube, of course, not in real life. Um, and Jess, you may know these folks. Crystal of Crystal Heart Quilting, I think. She's one of the Cotton Cuts mystery quilt ambassadors. So I knew her from that quilting circle of people. And I was watching a behind the scenes video of Quilt with Miss Kate. She opened a fabric store from her apartment last year, and her husband is a videographer, and he kind of has put these behind the scenes videos together for us that want to get a peek into that life. And Crystal was in that video. She apparently lives in the same town as Kate and helps her out shipping orders and stuff. It was so fun. I was like, wait a minute, I know that. I know those that I know more than just Kate in that video. But of course, watching all you guys quilt, those of you that have channels and stuff, it's like I want to come on vacation and sew with you in person. So maybe in my plan is to retire from my current job in about 2 years, and my husband wants to retire then, if not sooner. So maybe we'll take a road trip. We'll take our little camper van on the road, and I can stop by. And here's an interesting, I should have pinned that. I'm talking here. One last intersection that is going to be a little bit peppery. Another hello, Katie. Oh, wow. Karen's saying she quilted with a small group every week for years. Miss those days and those ladies. Yeah. I'm catching up on the chat. And Amanda glue based her hexes to the paper and then hand stitch. Yeah, I thread based my fabric around the paper template and then hand stitch together. So I was talking road trips and retirement, and I think I had a question I was going to ask people and then didn't. Lost my train of thought. Okay. So yeah, that's going to look a little bit weird with some of the sashing blending into the pinwheels and then not in other places. But you know what? A kid's not going to care. Oh, Lori has like an open sew event. I love doing that with my local shop. We have a group that meets once a month at our shop for open sew day. And you bring your machine, you work on whatever project. There's nobody's like, we help each other if somebody gets stuck on a pattern or something, but it's not like an official class where everybody's doing the same thing. And yeah, and then of course everybody has to take a shopping break and check out all the new stuff. Okay, so there we go. And are any of you on that? Lori, you were saying you're in North Georgia. I don't know how close you are. What highway is it through the Midwest that does like the longest yard sale every summer, because it goes for hundreds of miles? Everybody, sets up their booth on the side of the road. That would be kind of fun. So the distance, Chris O'Neill is a big thrift person, and she of course finds fabulous quilt treasures when she is out and about. That's how her lessons from an old quilt series started. I need to find an outlet for my quilts. I think I just need to pile them all up. There is an assisted living facility for adults with developmental delays. So think autistic, Down syndrome, but it's independent living. So they each have a little apartment, and the place is like 2 miles away from my house. It's, I have to go, out of my development around the strip mall and then into their parking lot. And I donated a quilt there before, but I would love to take, like 50 quilts and then let the residents choose one for themselves rather than just donate one at a time. And I certainly have dozens of quilts. And like I said, my mom's closet is full too. So I'm sure I could get her to do that. It actually if you remember, if you're into football at all, and if you remember a few years ago, the movie about Kurt Warner, American Underdog, it's actually his son, Zach, that it was built by his foundation in honor of his son. And his son is like this, um, the famous resident there, sweet kid. Uh, if they give you a tour of the facility, he's always, one to come out and say hi. And I volunteered helping them set up at one of their fundraiser events a few years ago, so that was neat. And I thought about like just um, volunteering to spend time that, take my knitting or take my machine and make, jelly roll race quilts or something while I was sitting there, and they could each have a turn at the sewing machine. But need to get off my behind and take action on some of these ideas. Didn't finish pressing that border, so take care of that. And I was so stressed the last couple weeks because I had volunteered to work on a special project at work, and it was high visibility, but we didn't have a lot of information, so I was feeling a little bit lost with it. And I'm like, we're not, the process isn't working, we're not doing this well. And the lady in charge kept saying, oh no, it's going to be fine, we're going to do great, it's great. So we got through the first phase of the project, rolled out part of it, and then they put it on hold. So I'm back to not having much to do. Everything's kind of slowed down for the summer. People are taking vacations and stuff. So tomorrow is going to be a very quiet day at work. Karen says, I get a lot done for someone who has a full-time job. Well, thank you. My daughter is in college and very independent, and my husband's content to just sit and, I don't know, read conspiracy theories online. I don't know what he does half the time. Fiddle around with stuff in the garage. Lori was commenting back on the long distance yard sale, was that she thinks it runs through Arkansas and Alabama. Yeah, I'm sure if I Googled it, we'd find it. I love those. There have been several, the different maps online that talk about road trips. Like there was one about, I think it was waterfalls in West Virginia or North Carolina or something. It had a little route. That's the kind of thing I would love to do with our little camper. Just, decide on a route, just go see some, and then you can stop at all those crazy rest stops. Like there's one along the highway in northern Arizona where it's still part of Route 66, but it was not a rest stop, but like a roadside motel, but they were all these big cement, I'm guessing cement, cinder block teepees, but they had them made like Native American housing. I was like, that's the kind of, little quirky place that I would love to stay in. And it would be fun to drive the entire Route 66. So what are the Greenland conspiracies, Katie? I'm interested in that. It would be fun to laugh at, but I don't want to offend anyone's sincerely held beliefs. But yeah, some of them are pretty amazing. Oh, and I have to do my video book recommendations because I've been, that's what I've been enjoying in the evenings, is sitting with a book while my husband scrolls. I'm like, I've been on the computer all day. I don't want to spend my evenings. Although I will play silly games on my iPad when I could be quilting. But I have this, I think I've mentioned this before. It's, again, irrational, because my husband really does not care if we're both sitting on the couch not talking to each other. What's the difference if I'm on the couch or up here in my sewing room? Either way, we're not really interacting. But it's just in the evening, I like to be in the same room as he is, at least, so feel like somewhat connected. So when you go to open sew days, ladies, are you the one that walks to every table to see what people are doing, or do you just sit down and get busy and sew? I'm obviously the one that just sits down with my own project, and I'll chat when you come talk to me, but I'm going to be there and get my stuff done. I just stabbed myself with that pin. That did not feel good. Okay. Looky there. I have it all sashed. Yay. Hooray, hooray here. Backing up to see if I've got the whole thing in the frame. Very nice. Okay, so now I have to, like I said, I have to find some polka dots that I could put in. I'm looking across at my cutting table where I was putting all of the stash material that I was sorting for the sale. But look, I've got some yellow polka dots. That would be kind of cute. I don't know. We'll see. Lori is a socializer. Yeah. Oh, there are some people that will come and baste their quilts at the quilt shop because they can use those nice big tables. As I was looking at that, that yellow isn't exactly what because I was thinking I'm gonna put a black background rainbow print next to the black sashing. So I want it. I don't know. I will have to set this aside. Although it could be, let's see, if these are 4, 8, 12, That's 36 inches square. That's pretty good for a baby quilt. So I might just leave it, leave it with the satching and not worry about another border. But I feel good about getting a project, from scraps into a quilt. So that can now sit in the pile to be quilted. Maybe I should take it to my mom and say, you have time to machine quilt this little baby thing. Help a girl out. Yes, Karen. A small size quilt like this would be a good like lap quilt for someone in a wheelchair. And that's the other thing. There are several memory care apartment complexes nearby. I could donate quilts to them too. So I feel like I'm buried in quilts, but I can't stop quilting. So what are you going to do? You got to find the charities out there. And someone was saying, I was working on a kit that's going to be a queen size quilt, I think, like 90 by 100 maybe. And it's got a lot of half square triangles. So I get to do a lot of sewing and trimming for that one. But this lady was saying that she wouldn't put that much work into a charity quilt. And I just thought that was an interesting opinion, because at some point I mean, what's the most quilts that you could have? I suppose if you had 365 quilts, you could have a different quilt on your bed every day, but where are you going to store them all? So I can see, maybe having 12 at the most, and you could have one for each month. So, you could conceivably have dozens of quilts in your house if you had a different one on the couch and one on the bed and one on the guest bed. But I don't know, again, where you store them all. I've got them piled in like against one wall in my bedroom, and I'm tired of the clutter. So, yeah, I need to get rid of them. They'll end up at Goodwill, and somebody, 40 years from now will be cutting them up to make coats, because that trend will come around again by the time, by the time all my quilts are in the, oh dear, I'm finding pins. By the time all my quilts are in at the Goodwill store. So, but it would be nice if we were able to sell them and for just even a fraction of what we've paid for in materials. I'm just laying this out so you can enjoy these fabrics. I was telling Katie when I was sewing with her originally on this project, this is one of my all-time favorite Kaffe Fassett designs. This is in green, but this is called Paperweights, and it's kind of like that Milleflore effect, and he made it in a bunch of different colorways. So depending on the background, like this one has the green background. I've seen it in blue and red, I think, and purple. So you can put that exact fabric in like every quilt you make. Every quilt needs a little bit of Kaffe. So, all right. Well, I have come to a stopping point. I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Go check out Tasha later tonight, and Amanda, let us know when you're going to be live next, and Jess as well. If you do, Jess, do you do any live streams, or most of your videos recorded? Oh, wow. All of Lori's Hexies are Free Spirit from Kaffe Fassett and Brandon Mobley, I think is his last name, and Philip Jacobs. I'm part of the Kaffe Fassett Collective Facebook group, and Philip Jacobs is one of the moderators, and he comes in all the time. uh, Talks about how one of their questions is, which is your favorite designer, and they mix all the names up. Kafe, Brandon, and Katie is live on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So come sit and sew with Katie. Morning of July 4th with Amanda. Yeah, that would be the crack of dawn, especially for me with the time zone out west. Sometimes Sean, the guy who sews, when he does his Saturday mornings, I am literally just opening my eyes and he's like, "We're live on Saturday." So Lori met Kafe and Brandon. I bet that would have been, were you in a workshop with them? That would be fun. Yeah, so I've got this quilt ready to move over to my long arm pile. Once I check on dimensions, see if I need to add one more border there. And I will work on a block tutorial for this weekend. Oh, that's right. Oh, it's the 19th. I knew something was coming up. Katie's channel is going to turn 2, so go give the Greenland quilter some love. And then I'll have to figure out, oh, good news. Last week I was working on my temperature quilt and I couldn't find the panel of the rows that I had already finished. And I had to think for a minute. It was with all the other quilts that I showed off in the last, in my progress video at the beginning of June. So I was able to trace it back and find that. So it is in a safe place. I've got a special pile on my bookcase that has works in progress. And so I've got my temperature quilt pieces and parts all accounted for. So that mystery was solved. And then we'll have another clue for our Cotton Cuts Flyway mystery. So we can work on that. Those come out on the first Friday of the month. And speaking of Cotton Cuts, they are the sign up period is still open for the next mystery, which will be Under the Sea. So that will be very much fun. All right, quilty friends, enjoy your 4th of July. Have a very safe Independence Day, a lovely holiday weekend and here in America, and our friends around the world. Thanks for tolerating us. It's sad to have to apologize for America's antics. Oh my goodness. But that's tiptoeing into dangerous territory. So I will stop that kind of chatter and bring it back to fabric. Let me know if you have any fun ideas for the type of blocks that you would like to sew together. And yes, Katie, I have that day marked, the 19th, right? I'm sure you'll let us know as we get closer. Yeah, so everybody go have fun, make beautiful quilts, and may your bobbins always be full. Have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.